national anthem. So it's gotten into a larger context. And I thank God for the National Football League Players Association and how they have responded. Please take a listen to what it is that they have said in response to what President Trump has said.
For I am great. I do not act lightly, for I have weight.
Colin Kaepernick made headlines.
I am not untrue, for I am the balance.
Maybe you should find a country that works better for him.
And I do not swerve, for I am the standard.
I think his delivery is distasteful.
But also stupid.
The league likes attention to be on the shield and not on the individual. I don't pay you to give your opinions.
Martellus Bennett has stated that he will not go to the White House.
You just shut up and do what I say do.
To Mr. Bennett, I say, shut up and go.
That has a contextual framework of slavery. We believe the players are the one that make the shield what it is.
In terms of Mr. Kaepernick, he's exercising his constitutional right to make a statement.
If you're a football player and the owner is saying something or doing something to violate another human being, you should have the courage to say that. Oh, but if I say it, I might lose my job. If you don't say it, you lose your soul.
I wanted to take the opportunity with my teammates during the anthem to pray.
We have the right to stand up for what we believe in, and we demonstrated that.
I think the thing that scares the NFL owners the most is that they know how serious our players are about things that are important to them.
I support my peers, and if you don't see why you need allies for people that are fighting for equality right now, I don't think you'll ever see it.
This is truly who I am. This is truly what my passion is.
It's why we teach our players about sit-ins during the 60s and enduring abuse, because you are speaking truth to power.
I just don't understand why becoming an athlete, all of a sudden you give up your rights and privileges that make you an American citizen.
Athletes get paid to play a game, nothing more.
For the first time, maybe it's actually not about money. Maybe it's about standing up for what you believe in. I mean, do we just want athletes selling shoes and selling burgers?
It's the same way that companies sell their products. Why can't we sell the thought process of freedom? When we inspire kids, don't inspire them just to be athletes, but inspire them to be change makers and change their communities.
You have to decide, do you want something or do you want to be something? There's going to be consequences, so be it.
Can you give the NFL Players Association a hand praise? And so this year has taken on a larger perspective. And when Pastor Joanne and I came back from vacation, Reverend Marcus Washington was sharing with me about next Sunday, the first Sunday in October, some pastors in Huntsville, Alabama, the same place that President Trump had just made his last statement. Long before that statement, they said next Sunday ought to be a blackout Sunday in which we should not watch any NFL games as African-American persons. Is it all right just to share a little bit as to what the founder or the originator of this idea, Reverend Shell, had in mind when we're speaking to the black church? Is it all right to show that? Can you give Reverend Shell and the Blackout Sunday movement a hand praise?
Houston Texans, I'm blacking you out. The Atlanta Falcons, I am blacking you out. Washington, I'm blacking you out. Dallas Cowboys, I'm blacking you out.
Titans, I'm blacking you out.
I'm blacking you out.
I'm blacking you out.
I'm blacking you out.
I'm blacking you out. NFL, we're blacking you out.
In 2016, NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick engaged in a silent, non-violent protest. Colin Kaepernick simply decided to take a knee during the playing of the national anthem at NFL games. He did this to kind of raise awareness to the number of brown and black individuals that had been beaten or killed at the hands of law enforcement across this country. Since the end of last season, as a result of this protest, Colin Kaepernick has been unable to find employment in the NFL. I find that strange, seeing that the NFL has employed individuals that have been convicted of sexual assault, domestic violence, cruelty to animals, along with driving while under the influence. A number of NFL owners have come out and stated the reason they can't employ him is because of a fear of a backlash from sponsors or a certain segment of their fan base. And it's interesting that they've capitulated thus far to a certain segment of the fan base while fearing no backlash from the African American community. The African American community makes up 15% of the NFL's overall viewership. And I find it interesting that they've made the calculation that states that even though they're going to silence one who stood up for values that have meaning to us, they have an expectation that African Americans are still going to be there on opening day watching and patronizing their product. My belief is simply this: if Colin Kaepernick was willing to take a stand for those of us who are non-celebrities that would have to interact with law enforcement on a day-to-day basis, if he's willing to take a knee for us, certainly we ought to take a stand and stand with him. I think it's important that we take some action steps.
As long as Kaepernick is without a job, we refuse to watch the NFL. We refuse to purchase any NFL paraphernalia endorsed by the NFL, and we refuse to engage in fantasy football.
As a church community, we commit 1 to 2 hours each Sunday for the next 17 weeks of football to pour in to our African American boys and girls. We will do this whether he is employed or not. Let's take the time that would normally be given to the NFL and give back to our boys and girls.
Spread the word to other men that we speak the language that the NFL responds to: money. Let us make it clear that since our lives matter so little to them, their product will matter even less to us.
We take a knee as Kaepernick did. We devote this season to prayer each morning, 6 a.m. for our youth, communities, local and government officials.
This is not a boycott, but a man-cott, because this demonstration is not for boys, it's for men of strong conviction.
Now, we want you to know this protest is not anti-flag, because people of color love the Stars and Stripes. It is not anti-American, because people of color have loved this country even when this country has not loved us back. And this protest is not anti-veteran, because we support those who have made sacrifices so that our liberties have been secured. This protest is to ensure the rights of all Americans, regardless of color or creed, to be heard.
Together we stand united against discrimination in all its forms. We're making a call to people of conscience, regardless of race, religion, or creed, who are able to recognize injustice and join us in this blackout. It is a call to all pastors, leaders, and churches, not just to look at what's happening as a black problem, but as an American problem.
We black out hatred. We mourn for our brothers and sisters in Charlottesville, Virginia. We pray for the healing of that community, along with the healing of our nation.
Up through 2014, the NFL had what they call blackout policies. When a stadium in a particular city had failed to sell out all of its tickets, they would black out the game so it couldn't be shown on that local market. They would force the fans to the stadium to buy the tickets. Today, we're forcing the hands of the NFL. We're saying that there's some values that we have that matter and they count. And so, NFL, we want you to know that we're going to black you out. I'm making a call to pastors, leaders, my brothers, all people of conscience, regardless of your race or your background, to join us in this blackout. I want to be clear that I'm a football fan. I played it most of my life growing up, and there's rarely a Sunday that I've missed in my adult years. But there comes a point in time where I've got to prioritize my convictions more than my entertainment value. And let me be clear that this thing is bigger than Colin Kaepernick. He took a stand for an issue that's uniquely valuable to African Americans. But tomorrow, it could be your liberties, your perspective, your worldview that's at stake. He is symbolic of all of us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us. Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
We're going to black you out. You're on the clock. So next Sunday, Ebenezer Church family, is going to be Blackout Sunday. We want everybody to wear black, and we are going to black out in protest for what is taking place with our brother Colin Kaepernick, and we're going to stand together, Brother Riddick and Brother Finner,
for what we believe are true values, that the church is going to take the lead. Can you look at somebody and say, it's Blackout Sunday? Next Sunday is Blackout Sunday. If you believe that for yourself, can you give your neighbor a holy hug and let them know it's Blackout Sunday?